just a few days away from a very big tournament in Southern California called It Never Drains in Southern California. I should be reading rule sheets and out finding games on location that will be in this tournament, but no, I'm here for you and for me, recording Coast to Coast Pinball. This is going to be episode 57. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. It's a podcast. It's commentary. I am a man out of quarters. It even says so on the back of my t-shirt. T-shirt that you may order. We have more shirts coming. I don't think they're going to be here in time for It Never Drains in Southern California this weekend. I had a couple emails on that. I will have some shirts available, whatever I have in the original green, the latest black, but I do have another new shirt coming soon. Same design, just a different color. So what's going on out there? It's Tuesday, January 14th. We are 2 weeks into the new year, and we have what I think is really the first major event of the year. It Never Drains in Southern California, up in the Inland Empire, as they call it. It's by far the largest pinball event I will have gone to, tournament-wise, and I'm excited. I'm going to get murdered. I will not do well. I'll beat all the guys from Northern California, of course, because Southern California trumps Northern California. None of that's true. They're going to stomp me. But that's okay. I won't get into all the details about how the tournaments run and yada, 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 because it is sort of a regionalized thing. And I had a couple emails asking me, why don't you talk about this or this? Well, I'm in California and I'm going to this one, so I'm talking about this one. Take what you can get, sir. The games confirmed first up in the Classics division. So, I'm a master at EM games. I'm sure you all know that by now, listening to this show, where we talk in depth about wedge heads and zipper flippers and yada, 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 one player versus two player. That's what this show, that's really the essence of this show, is vintage, classic, electromechanical pinball. Or not at all. So, let me run down these games. Looks like they're going to have 8 machines. Laser Q, never played it. Lady Luck, I think I played it. Joker Poker, have played it. Target Pool, have played it. Paragon, have played it. Not all of these are EMs, but these are classics. Stars, I've played Stars. Fireball 2, I don't know that I knew there was a Fireball 1. I'm just kidding. I've played Fireball. And Air Aces. Air Aces I have not played. I've never seen Air Aces. That could be a fake machine name for all I know. It might just be messing with me. So, do I waste money and enter the Classics? Of course I do. Because anybody can play an EM, right? I'm kidding. I tease my EM and Classics fans. The modern games, in the modern categories. So, Pin B Wizard, WZRD, who I believe is one of the organizers running the tournament. I really shouldn't be all in-depth and know all this, but I don't. On Pinside has been posting updates on what was coming. And Funhouse was one of the games originally in the lineup for the moderns, and I was pretty excited because I know Funhouse. I know the rules, I know the scoring, I know how to max out scoring. Thought I had a shot. Well, they pulled Funhouse, because apparently their Funhouse was acting up. So they've replaced it with Whitewater, a game I'm admittedly not very good at. I do know what some of the shots are on Whitewater. I don't think I have a Whitewater right around me to go play in the next few days, so, you don't have to play all the games. You have to put high scores up on some games. I think it's your top 5 scores, something like that, top 4 maybe. So Whitewater doesn't really help me. NBA Fast Break. Played it for the first time really about 3 weeks ago. I think I played it once before in passing, but really actually played a couple games on it for the first time. That will not be my strong suit. Tron, a game that I do play quite a bit, and also not really apt to showing much skill and talent on Tron. However, I do know how to start some multi-balls on Tron. I do have a pretty good idea of what not to do on Tron, and that will be one I'll probably, hope for. High Roller Casino, never played one. Never, ever, ever. People ask me sometimes, are there any games you haven't played? And there's lots of games I haven't played. High Roller Casino, never played one. So I'll have to do some reading on that one, because I don't have the foggiest idea. Flintstones. There was a Flintstones on location in San Diego, about 5 miles from me, for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. However, next to it was an Attack from Mars. So you can imagine how many times I actually played Flintstones, especially with Teresa. Very, very little. Also, I just don't really care for the theme and layout of Flintstones, we'll say. I'm sorry, John Trudeau. Not my favorite. So that's going to be a tough one. Dirty Harry was also in that exact lineup. It was Flintstones, Attack from Mars, Dirty Harry at this bowling alley for months and months and months. And I did play some Dirty Harry, and I was actually pretty good at that. So Dirty Harry was a game that I had long ball times. I don't know if I scored well. I don't really remember. I know I talked about it on a podcast way back when. So Dirty Harry hopefully is one that can get me through, can put up some good scores. The Dark Knight. I've not played a lot on the Dark Knight. I did just literally play it recently in Oklahoma, or maybe that was at Modern Pinball. I think it was at Modern Pinball in New York City, excuse me. And we'll have to see. I wouldn't say that's one of my better games either. I start just chasing the wrecking ball a lot. It's kind of like me in Junkyard. When I play Junkyard, all I do is just try and hit the wrecking ball. I don't really know what's going on. I don't even really understand what that game's supposed to be about. I just try and hit the little ball that's hanging down in the back of the game. So that's high level pinball playing and skill from yours truly. And then they have one game undetermined. Oh, how I hope it's Twilight Zone. There's a few others. I mean, honestly, I'm not that great of a pinball player. I love pinball. I can play pinball for hours and hours and hours. I mean, I spent literally a Sunday at the Silver Ball Museum in Asbury Park last year from noon to 8:30 just playing pinball. I've spent 6 to 8 hours at the Pinball Hall of Fame. I've done it hours and hours on end at Rock and Roll Fantasy in New York. Pinball Wizard Arcade in Pelham, New Hampshire. I can play pinball for hours. I'm not very good. I lack the patience sometimes to really control the ball and do what I need to do. And sometimes I just don't know. Sometimes I just have no idea. I remember playing Indiana Jones in a tournament a while back and literally just annoying the guy I was playing against because I was watching him play to learn all the rules and I could tell he knew I didn't know the rules. But so it's okay. I think they also added one later in this thread, and it was Teed Off. Actually, Teed Off, I have a chance at Teed Off. There's a Teed Off at another bowling alley here in San Diego that I just recently played quite a bit. That game was in rough shape, but I did well on it. I understand that game. I think that might be another one. I'll put some extra effort into learning the rules beforehand, because I think that's very, very key going into these tournaments is know the rules. If you know the games ahead of time, know the rules, know what you're shooting for. Part of me wishes that you could just magically, unveil the machines the day of the tournament and nobody would know what they are. But I guess there's always the insiders who are gonna find out, and it's not fair. So it's better to just tell everybody as far out in advance as you can. I just wish I had more time to go play on some of these. So that's what I'm doing this weekend. I know it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm 99% certain I will not be there Friday night, but I'm going to go up Saturday, spend most of the day there Saturday, and we'll see about Sunday. If lightning strikes a bunch of my opponents and I make it to the finals on Sunday, I'll definitely be there Sunday. If not, I'm not sure I'll make the drive back up because I don't think I'm staying up there. I know I've been chatting with Mr. Gene X Wong from Northern California, and he's going to be hanging out there, and I look forward to hanging with him, meeting him in person, and some of the other guys from Northern California who are slumming it down here with us in the lowlands, in the desert. But I'm not sure if I'm going to make it up more than one day. We'll see how it plays out. I've got some things going on around here. And yeah, so feedback to the last show. Episode 56 was An Evening with Josh Sharp. One of the most downloaded episodes. I think it was the third most downloaded episode that we've had here on Coast2Coast Pinball. So that was pretty exciting. Josh was great. I did get immediately after it was up and an hour had passed and some people had listened to it, a blog comment, an email, and I think a Facebook message all asking, why didn't you ask Josh about Medieval Madness Remake? And honestly, I ran out of time during the actual interview. I try to keep the show in the 45 to 50 minute range, and we ran a little bit long. I had extra notes I wanted to talk to Josh about. After we stopped recording, Josh and I talked for probably another half hour or so, and we talked all about Medieval Madness Remake. And he obviously had slipped out, and a photo emerged of Josh having played the game, so he asked me if I'd seen that, which I had. And I asked him what he thought, and I won't go too deep into what he said because this was sort of off the record-ish, but he seemed really positive on it. I think he is all for what Planetary Pinball is doing there, and he let me know, which has since come out on Pinside, so I don't have to keep this secret, that his dad, Roger Sharp, was scheduled to play the game like the next day, I think, but that might have been pushed off or so. But I know Rick at Planetary has already posted that, so I'm not tipping the hat on anybody. But yeah, so he talked about it. He said it played very well. It felt right to him. So I think that bodes well if you have that sort of endorsement. I had questions also that maybe I'll hold for next time I talk to Josh. A few of you asked me some questions. So I really appreciate the feedback on that episode, though. That was a fun interview. Josh is a good dude. I want to have Zach on someday. I think it'd be fun to hear the tales from the younger brother. So that was very encouraging. I also wanted to jump into a little bit of the news based off of what's going on the Pinside web forums.
Forum static.
This is talked about on Pinside, but it's actually really pulled from Pinball News. Pinball News is just a great website for finding out, really good reporting and in-depth stories on big happenings in pinball, especially new games. When a new game is released, I can't wait for the Pinball News review because they do a great job with the photography. They go really in depth into the rule set. I think they're very fair with their commentary and critiques on games. If a part feels cheap, they'll say it feels cheap. So I love reading their reviews. And part 1 of their Star Trek limited edition or premium, I think it was the LE review, came out earlier this week. And not only was it, again, a great review, and, nothing that I hadn't already seen. I've read a lot about the game. I've played those games a lot. It's nice seeing it all tied together, and it's a great reference for this show sometimes if I can't remember. If I'm going to talk about a game and I can't recall something, especially the Stern releases that are mostly documented there, I can go recap some things to sort of sort them out in my head if I don't have the game available to me. So that was neat to read through the first part of the Star Trek, and that really mainly goes through the playfield and the toys and the build quality, and that was really nice. But the story here, though, really was that in the comments section, the first comment posted on the Pinball News review of Star Trek was designer of the game, Steve Ritchie. Steve Ritchie just jumps in and starts talking about the game and the review of the game, and he kind of points out a couple corrections, and in the review, I think the reviewer said that he would have liked to have seen a better material used on the posts, the posts that were, if you bounce off like little rubber rings, the black rubber rings on the post, said those were apt to split because the ball was moving so fast when it hit that, and he thought maybe you should put a post sleeve on there. And Steve Ritchie, in his sort of like review of the review, if you will, said no, don't put a post sleeve on there. If anything, buy a polyurethane ring, because he likes the way they bounced off better. He doesn't like the way the post sleeve bounced off. He goes through and explains a few little things about the game. I will let you go hunt that down and read it, though. But it's really neat to see Steve Ritchie, who, has sort of been dubbed by a lot the king and the godfather and this and that. He's, royalty in pinball design. Jump right in and kind of talk about the design and promise that some more stuff is coming. And you can see that his enthusiasm for his game is through the roof. And that's great. And that's probably one of the reasons why we see such a great design that plays so well, is because the guy designing it has a lot of passion for what he's doing. And that always is a good thing in any sort of creativity driven endeavor, I guess would be the way to put it. So go check that out. Just go to pinballnews.com. It's their lead story on the Star Trek review, and then look in the comments for Steve Ritchie's commentary on the review. It's pretty neat, and I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite that direct from a designer off of a game review or article. That was very interesting to see. I liked that a lot. I got an email today, in fact, from Cameron. And I'm going to paraphrase Cameron's email to me, because I didn't print it out or I didn't leave it up on a screen here for me. Cameron wrote me and basically said, hey man, so you like own a Judge Dredd pinball machine, right? And in my head I thought, yeah, Cameron, I own a Judge Dredd pinball machine. That is true. And he's like, so hey man, you do this podcast, and you do all these episodes, and you talk about all these games. Why don't you talk about one of these games that you own, like Judge Dredd? And I'm like, whoa, slow down there. I talked about Twilight Zone recently, episode 50. I own Twilight Zone. I talked about Twilight Zone. Sometimes it takes a while. And he said, I really think you should talk about Judge Dredd. It's a popular game that people can still buy for an affordable price. Mr. Nate, why don't you talk about Judge Dredd? Are you scared? He may not have said, are you scared? But I inferred that he was questioning if I was scared. And I'll respond to you, Cameron, right now on said podcast. No, I'm not scared. And yeah, I got a Judge Dredd. It's right behind me. In fact, right now my Judge Dredd has the speaker panel pulled off, the light panel flipped out, and I'm awaiting a Molex connector to fix a little problem I'm having with my said Judge Dredd. But let's get something really clear, Cameron. This is not requestareview.com. This is not Coast2Coast Pinball Reviews on Demand.com. You don't get to just email me and be like, hey man, you got a Judge Dredd, talk about Judge Dredd. It's not how this works. You don't just get to shoot off an email to my email address that I so kindly give to you at the end of every episode. And yeah, I ask for your comments. I want to hear what you have to say, but you don't get to just be like, hey man, talk about Judge Dredd, and expect me to just be like some monkey who just says, okay man, I'll talk about Judge Dredd. I'm not going to just respond to Cameron with a full thing on Judge Dredd. Why would I do that?
Highlights and lowlights.
All right, highlights and lowlights of Judge Dredd. Here we go. So, Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd's a John Trudeau design, obviously from the Bally Williams Corporation. It's labeled Bally because it's a theme that they licensed, a licensed theme. A lot of people mistakenly think Judge Dredd is based off of the movie Judge Dredd. Now, yes, the Judge Dredd that you see on the playfield and on the back glass sort of has a Stallone-esque chin, but really is based off the very popular British comic book. I believe it's called, originally Judge Dredd appeared in 2000 AD. See, here's my facts being all blurry. If that's completely wrong, I will edit this and you will not hear that. But anyway, Judge Dredd is a comic book character. And Judge Dredd was the most respected and feared judge, not a Dredd, he's a judge. And he was fighting off the bad judges, the evil judges. And John Trudeau did Judge Dredd with Bally Williams after Creature from the Black Lagoon. So, Creature from the Black Lagoon is the game that John Trudeau will tell you is his most prized and proud design. So Judge Dredd was right after it. And to a lot of people, and I meet people all the time who tell me Judge Dredd's my favorite pinball machine. I hear that all the time. They made a lot of these. They built almost 7,000 Judge Dredds. There's a bunch of them. It's a wide body game. This is one of the super pins. This is in there with, Twilight Zone and Indiana Jones, and this is wide body. So it's unique. And there's a lot going on Judge Dredd that is very unique. And it's a game that, I went out and bought because it is unique, and it has this beautiful artwork package, and with awesome art. I just wanted it so bad. And then if you have listened to my podcast, you'll know that I sort of fell out of love with Judge Dredd. The judge and I needed to take a little break. And I've had that kind of go back and forth, and I've tried not to bore everyone with my mood swings on this game, but I'm here to say right now, Judge Dredd's pretty awesome. There's a lot going on Judge Dredd. Just some little side notes to Judge Dredd that make it unique. It was the first Bally Williams game to feature their new DCS, Digital Compression System sound system, so that the sound quality of Judge Dredd is really good. It's really better. They implemented the buyback, the buy-in, the rebuy-in, extra ball button like you saw in Twilight Zone and others. And they're smart about it because on this game, for an extra credit, you got to buy back in and get multi-ball. You'd buy back in for a 2-ball multi-ball, which was neat. You felt like you're getting your money's worth a little bit more. They also added something called Super Game. If you look below the start button on Judge Dredd, there's another button below there called Super Game, where it's all multi-ball. Now, you had to pay in the arcade and on location, double So if it was a 50-cent game, you paid $1, or a 25-cent game, you played 50 cents. So you became a man out of quarters much more quickly. Yeah, I went there. And when you played Super Game, you started out every round with 2-ball multi-ball. And then by hitting the right drop targets, you could go to a 6-ball multi-ball. Pretty cool idea. I don't know that it worked all that well, but it was a pretty cool idea, and they had different modes for the Super Game. So really, when you buy Judge Dredd for your home now, you get 2 games. You get Judge Dredd, the normal, 3-ball game. Don't put it on 5 balls. And then you also get the Super Game ball, the multi-ball crazy ball, and it has separate, high score keeping for both. And they are very different. They do play differently. There's different things to do. So it's kind of like having, when we talk about Bride of Pinbot 2.0 coming out and how you sort of have 2 games in one, this game to some degree has that, which is pretty neat. The layout of Judge Dredd is very unique. There's a lot of shots, and that's why I think this is a great home game. A lot of people talk about how many things there are going on in this, and I think it goes further than that. And as we talk about the game here tonight, you'll realize that this game is really good at getting the whole playfield involved. Some games have lots of cool stuff on them, and then you barely use them. This game's pretty good at sort of get all this stuff that they crammed into this wide body gets used. They use this triple tier wire form, which they bragged about a lot back then. It's a 4-flipper game. There's 3 regular flippers, and then a little mini flipper way up top on the right. Lots of ramps. You have this giant world planet that spins, like it looks like Saturn, with the planet with the rings around it, that originally, as I think most people who know much about Judge Dredd know, was going to hold all the locked balls to start multi-ball. But then their German distributor at the time feared that was going to cause, problems on location and could break and be issues. So he basically forced Stern's hand into redesigning the Judge World toy so that the ball's virtually locked there and didn't lock. And since then, we've had mods come out very successfully, so you can kind of mod it back to the original idea of the planet catching the first 2 balls for multi-ball, and then when you get the third in there, that's when it starts. There's some other design aspects of Judge Dredd that are just unique at the time. Little things like the apron of the game. If you look at the apron below the flippers, where the scorecards are, the instruction cards are, it's sort of a matte gold finish, kind of different. You didn't see that before. And then the bottom of the outlane, sort of the part that's between the apron and the flippers, where the ball would run down the outlanes, instead of just being wire form or simple guides, it's like a big steel curved wall, really different. Feels very well built, well put together, and just unique, really, because you don't see a lot of other games like that. The game shipped with this giant Golden Eagle topper, too, which I don't have the Golden Eagle topper, and I just can't justify spending all the money for one. There's been replicas made. I'll probably get one at some point if Judge Dredd sticks around here with me in San Diego for a long time. But it's neat. It really stood out. It was cool. It's something that you wouldn't see unless you were buying a limited edition Stern nowadays. And I think a lot of people say that about Judge Dredd. This is a game that you can buy for under $2,000 right now in a lot of markets, and you're getting what would absolutely be limited edition features in a Stern game today. So it's one of probably the best values. You have drop targets. You have a 5-bank of drop targets. You have vertical up kickers in this game. You have a 3-ball captive ball target with rollovers behind the balls and a target at the end. No pop bumpers on Judge Dredd. It's one of those interesting designs where there's no pop bumpers. No Fear is the other one that I always think of is this era where there weren't pop bumpers. Some people just don't like that. They want that randomness of a pop bumper to be there when they have a pinball game, and they think it's not really pinball without pop bumpers. But it doesn't bother me in this game. This game can be fast. If you set this thing up right, it's quick, and there's a few shots coming around these ramps, and they're just amazing. This game has a kickback system, and now it's not a kickback like you might think. If you don't know this game, it's not where you roll down the outlane and there's a kickback coil that kicks your ball back up. It's actually its own dedicated outlane that doesn't go out on the far left side. It's actually left of the left outlane. To the far left, there's a sort of an extra launch lane of sorts, which the ball goes down and automatically kicks right back out of, except when the ball is fed there from the air raid ramp and down the wire forms for air raid. When that happens, you then use the second button on the left side of the game to fire the ball out, because there's regular flipper buttons. And this game also has a second set of like bigger diamond shaped plastic buttons, sort of right below and behind the flipper buttons. And the right side, mostly you use that to launch the ball. It does not have a plunger on the front or even a auto plunger on the front of the game. You use the right diamond button on the right side of the game. And then the left button is mainly used for firing the ball out of that up kicker lane in Air Raid, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And it's a neat feature, because there's this really neat flow to Judge Dredd when you're playing, where the ball will shoot down into that lane, and then it just like auto plunges back out. And I just love the effect, because it's, mine doesn't kick it super, super hard, so it kind of comes out in this like arcing shot pattern that's neat. So it kind of puts it up to the mini flipper on mine sometimes. It's just a neat flow to it, and I've seen them set up so that it does fire out of there pretty quickly. But I kind of like the way mine plays. So you have multiple ramps. You have vertical up kickers in the back right, and coming out of the subway system. And there's this subway system shot behind the 5 drop targets. There's 5 drop targets in the middle, which become very key in getting lock lit for this game to then start your multi-balls. 1 in lane, 1 out lane on both sides. I will say this, that left in lane, like I told you, is not the far left lane. There's the air raid missile launch, they call it, lane over there on the far left. But the left out lane, where it is, it's pretty brutal, and it's adjustable. You have some spots where you can adjust your post there, but it's a tough out lane. It's easily fed. On the right side, there's actually 2 in lanes. I might have said 1 a second ago, but there's 2 in lanes on the right side. They feel like 1 to me because it's kind of one big opening that then diverts onto 2 different sides. And then there's obviously the right out lane, which, that one's not quite as bad. And if you know what you're doing with your nudging, you can avoid that one pretty well. Artwork-wise, if I don't know the comic well, I don't even know if I've ever seen the movie Judge Dredd. But you have a lot of really dense artwork and sort of a dark color scheme. It's really well done. The sides of the game have the judge on the motorcycle, and he's got his arms up on the handlebars. And then the front of the game, around the coin door, you don't see the judge on the motorcycle, but you do see the handlebars popping up to the right with his hands on it. It's pretty cool. And then the back glass has the judge, and then the dark evil judges, and then I don't know if she's just your friend or your love interest or your buddy or whatever she is. Judge Anderson is center on the playfield. She's on the back glass, and she's like a psychic, and she talks to you throughout the game and kind of tells you what's going on. This game implements the modes, I think, with the DMD so fantastic for this era too. It really can't be overstated, I don't think. In fact, watching someone good play Judge Dredd is awesome, because the animations are so good, and when you're playing the game, you cannot look up and take your eyes off of it, because you'll lose your ball. This game's quick like that. So, if you kind of look at the game and try to figure out what's going on here, what are we doing? Well, from the middle down, where you have all like sort of your goals set up on most modern pinball games, you have these 4 inserts that are the evil judges, and they're listed across the front as Fear, Mortis, Death, and Fire. And those are your 4 bad guys. Death, the third one in, is actually the leader of the bad guys. He's the really bad dude. He's the last one you're going to have to try and beat with his multi-ball. And Mortis is actually where you start. So you don't even start on the far left one. Never quite understood that. That's just how it goes. Below that, you have your chain link, and there's 9 of them, including the final ultimate challenge link. But there's a bunch of, like a golden chain across the middle, and the links are Sniper, Pursuit, Blackout, Battle Tank, Bad Impersonator, Meltdown, Safecracker, Manhunt Millions, and Stakeout. And those are sort of your modes. Those are your modes. Those are the modes of the game. And there's a couple different ways you can start the modes that we'll get into here in a second. And then below that, you have these 4 inserts: Warning, Misdemeanor, Felony, and Class X Felony, which can be lit. And those are telling you what level of crimes you're going to be encountering at the crime scenes. I think they missed the ball a little bit on the implementation of this system that we'll talk about with the crime scenes. There's 5 crime scene shots around the game. And the idea is that as you hit them, you progress up to more serious crimes, which award you more points. Some of the crimes early are silly, like spitting and flatulence, and then they go up to bad stuff like kidnapping, murder, and of course, cannibalism. So I think that could have been done a little bit better, but still, it gives you a lot to do, and there's a lot going on here. So when I first started playing Judge Dredd, all I wanted to do was start multi-ball. I wanted to get that dead world spinning and start multi-ball. And I'll tell you, that in and of itself in this game is not the easiest thing to do, which could turn some people off to it. But I do love this game when you've got multi-ball going, because the ramps are sort of long ramps, and not easy to hit, and the orbits are just really satisfying shots. When you get multiple balls going on this game, it is rather neat, and a really, it's a fun game, especially if you know what you're doing, and I would encourage you to sort of learn the rules of Judge Dredd before you form opinions or get too deep into it. Alright, so let's give like a kind of a rundown of the playfield and what you're going to see when you look at this. Like I said, there's four flippers. You've got double buttons on the game. You got the diamond buttons behind your regular flipper buttons. We went through the lanes. There's a target that you will see that is above the left out lane and kind of at the end of the missile launch lane. It's just a single circular target. It's below the mid flipper on the left side with a blue and green question mark logo. That's the mystery target, and that mystery target gets tied in to the chain link modes. So we'll talk about that. But just know that when you're in a chain link mode, oftentimes you want to hit that target. So if you're in position to shoot that mystery target, and that'll probably be from the right flipper, you want to try and do that. So you have a left orbit shot. And this is like, an extreme left orbit shot from the right flipper. And when you hit this shot, this one gets me still to this day, because you hit this left orbit shot fast, it'll loop around the back, come out the right orbit, and they designed this game so that ball goes straight down the left out lane. I mean, perfectly. Now, if the ball's hit really weak, it's actually, there's a chance that it won't even make it out through that right orbit and come back around. It can actually come back down through one of the other spots and towards the center of the game. But generally, a really firm shot from the right flipper through the left orbit is going to come screaming back at your left out lane. So you need to defend yourself with the mini flipper on the upper right-hand side. You almost have to, or you will lose the ball, because it happens very quickly and you don't have time to nudge or do anything except watch your ball and go, oh. And it kills me, because I hit that shot. And it's a good feeling shot. It feels great to hit that long orbit shot, and then you just lose your ball. And you're like, oh man. And I actually say that all the time. I go, oh man, because I forget. When you have extra ball lit in this game, know that there's 2 extra ball targets. There's one just to the right of the left orbit shot, between the left orbit and the left ramp, and then another one up in the right side, up tucked in by the sniper tower that we'll talk about in a second. So you have the left ramp, which you could also call this the lock ramp in a way, because once you get lock lit, then you have to hit this ramp 3 times to start multi-ball. So this is also a great shot, because you'll see that the 2 ramps in this game have police lights over the top of them, like blue and red police lights over the left ramp and the right ramp, and these will be used in modes. But I like this one a lot because it loops the ball all the way back around to the right flipper. So you hit right flipper, left ramp, and you can actually just keep hitting that shot. And in some parts of this game, that can actually build up points pretty quickly. So it's very cool. Obviously, you'll see the dead world, the planet right in the middle, like we talked about, that spins. It's really pretty. There's some great sound effects where there's like a storm going and you hear thunder and going on in the lights inside the translucent planet ball actually flash. So it's pretty neat. I like that a lot. The 5 drop targets down below Dead World, they spelled judge, and I always used to think that I was seeing replaced drop targets on Judge Dredd machines, because they were just straight black targets and there wasn't anything on the front of them. There are inserts in front of them that spell out judge, but there's nothing actually on these plain black drop targets. So I just thought for years these have been replaced on these different games. And then when I bought mine, same thing, black targets. I started doing some research, and there's aftermarket stickers you can buy. But then I read a bunch of reviews, people saying they bought the stickers, and that little tiny bit of extra added thickness to the drop targets can make the drop targets not function properly, and that's probably why they didn't put stickers on the drop targets. So it's a bank of 5 targets. The middle target, I believe, is a little bit wider, and behind that middle D target in Judge is the entrance to the subway, which is used in a couple modes, and then also goes to the vertical up kicker over to the left ramp out of a wire frame on the left side of the game. So, let's see. Up in the kind of the back right, there's a lot going on, and some people will compare this game to Twilight Zone a little bit because they feel like a lot of the main shots in this game are long shots to the back right, and it doesn't feel like that to me, I guess, but I've actually had a friend come over, play this game, and say, oh, it's just like Twilight Zone, and I'm like, not really. I think it's hard to differentiate where all the shots are up there because you have a few things going on. You have this small loop. It's this little like mini orbit shot that you shoot, and it goes under the center ramp and then joins the left orbit around to the right to that mini flipper like I was talking about. So it's like this little mini orbit within the big orbit. Really cool. It's hard to see it though, and you can actually hit this over and over. I think I've only ever hit it like 2 times in a row because I'm usually not ready for it. I'm not good at that at all. Then there's the center ramp. And this is, it's called the blackout ramp. It's a little ramp that goes kind of right up the middle from the mini flipper, just to the right of that small, like little mini orbit. And this will then feed over to the left orbit. It kind of goes the other way. So then you're over on your middle left flipper. Then to the right of that, there's the sniper tower shot, which is kind of it's a shot that you'll find yourself with the left flipper hitting often because it's sort of an easy shot with the left flipper. If somebody compared that to the lock shot in Twilight Zone or the extra ball shot in Twilight Zone, I would say this shot's easier than that. It's not quite as tight. And when I get in times when I haven't played Judge Dredd in a while and I start playing, I can't help but hit that shot sometimes, this sniper tower entrance. And this is one of the, along with the small loop, this is one of the crime scene shots. So these shots have the multiple levels of crime scenes, and they have the inserts with multiple lights in them. So these will actually, pick up crimes for you, so to speak. So you'll hit this when it's lit, and a crime will get called out, and then the sentence for that crime. So I may have missed one of those. I think the left orbit. I missed the left orbit being a crime scene. So the left orbit's a crime scene. The small loop is a crime scene. The sniper tower is also a crime scene. And the sniper tower has a vertical up kicker that kicks out and then to a wire form and then down to the left flipper. So you can like hit that shot over and over again. And later on in the game, in the quote wizard mode, that can be abused. Let's see. This is also one of the shots that will start your chain link modes. So there are 2 shots to start chain link modes. Sniper tower, and then also that left ramp shot. That's also the lock ramp. That also will have an insert down below the 3 lock lights that shows to start a chain link mode. When you're locking balls in Dead World Spinning, you cannot start a mode with this ramp shot. You have to use the sniper tower. Very cool thing that I think a lot of people don't use. I've watched people play live and they don't use it while they're playing Judge Dredd. You can choose which chain link you want to light next by using the flipper, not the flipper buttons, the diamond buttons below the flipper buttons. You can actually change through the links, scroll through them, so you do have control. Obviously you can't choose the final challenge one because that's, the wizard mode. That's the last one you get to. If you complete all of the links or if you complete all the judges, you get to final challenge. So to the right of the sniper tower, there's yet another shot, and this is one of the harder shots in the game to hit. This is the air raid ramp, and this is the ramp that the ball will then feed down into that rocket launcher lane on the far left to then have a shot out of the rocket launcher. So the air raid ramp is best hit by the left mid flipper, so the flipper up on the left middle of the game. That's really where you need to hit this one from. I've hit it from the lower left flipper, and it's mostly on accident. And I think you can hit it with the little mini flipper if you hit the angle right, and it just sort of trails and spins up that way. But really, this is from the left middle flipper. So when you do hit that, and you hit that when air raid's lit, your ball will go down into the missile launch area, and the drop target inserts will start flashing across JUD, JE, and back and forth. And there's an animation on the screen where you're trying to fire a shot at a like an airship type thing and try and shoot that airship, and you do so by timing it so that you shoot the ball out of the launch lane and hit the lit drop target. And you kind of need to know where your machine that you're playing hits on the target bank. Mine always hits the U. Always hits the U. So I need to time it so that the light is hitting the U as my ball hits it. So that's kind of how that works. There's another extra ball target up here. That's right in between the next shot I'm going to tell you about, which is also a crime machine shot, the large loop in between the air raid. So to the right of the air raid, so listen to this in a row. We had small loop, the center ramp, the sniper tower, the air raid, and now another shot up there, which is the large loop. It's the right orbit, really. But I kind of hate to call it a right orbit because you can't orbit from the lower flipper on this one at all. I don't think it's possible to hit this one easily. This is really a shot from the middle flipper, and this is a shot you try and hit from this the launch. When you launch the ball, this is like your skill shot. So this is the skill shot. So also a crime scene shot. So if you weakly hit it up there, the ball may not make it around to that left orbit. It will then come out of that small loop, that little mini small loop, and actually you can hit to the mini flipper there and go back up and back around. So there's some interesting little combinations you can get going there with these two flippers that are on the upper side of the game. So there's also this large right ramp. There's a bank of 3 drop targets below the mini flipper, sort of right in the middle of the machine, and those will advance your crime levels. So when you're hitting, the crime scenes, you can advance how high those crime scenes are and how much points are worth, getting them up to from warnings to misdemeanors to felonies to Class X felonies by hitting these targets. That'll advance that up. Then there's the right ramp, which also has the police lights above it. That's the shot you're going to hit from the lower left flipper almost all the time. You can backhand it if your flippers are really strong. This has a cool ball return that returns it back down to the right flipper, so it's not one that you're going to get a lot of flow going on with this ramp. It's a ramp that I think is kind of tough on my game. Maybe my left flipper is not that great, but I miss this shot a lot. I get it halfway up there oftentimes, which drives me insane when I'm in. We call this the stakeout ramp because in stakeout chain link mode, this is the ramp you hit. To the right of that is the 3-ball captive ball target, which is the reactors. This is like a post-nuclear world, and so these nuclear reactors are melting down. And the goal here is either in the mode or for other reasons, you're trying to hit these balls to hit each other and roll over targets and then hit the target at the end. So they're used for a few different things. The chain links, I read them off to you earlier. They're 20-second modes generally, and what I like about this is I was playing the new Star Trek game recently, and my biggest beef with that game, for as good as the new Star Trek game feels, all the modes are kind of the same thing. It's like there's flashing Star Trek logo insignias in front of a group of ramps, hit them and go. Judge Dredd is not that game. You have to really think about what you're doing in these modes if you want to score big while you're in the modes. So I won't go through all of them because that might be a little dull for somebody, but let's say your chain mode that's blinking when you hit, an activate chain mode is blackout. When you go into blackout, it launches another ball, so this is a 2-ball multi-ball mode. Playfield scores double, and the main shot here is the center ramp, that center ramp up in the middle, which is mainly a mini flipper shot, and that's going to give you 10 million points for as long as you can go. So this one's actually not timed because you're going to hit it as long as you can go with the 2-ball multi-ball or until you lose one or both of the balls. So that's very different from saying if you hit the bad impersonator chain link mode. The bad impersonator employs the drop targets, and there's 2 different modes that use the drop targets, both the bad impersonator and the safe cracker modes, and they do it pretty well, and there's neat animations going on here, so I like the way they did that. The meltdown mode, when you start that one, that uses the captive balls. You're trying to stabilize those 3 reactors. And like I said, the mystery shot that's over there on kind of the lower left area, that will give you a bonus on all of these modes. And say like on Meltdown, I'll often just try and hit the mystery shot because it kills all 3 reactors and you're done. So I like that a lot. The modes are cool. So you go through all these modes, and you think, man, I can't wait to get the Ultimate Challenge. I can't wait to get through all these chain link modes and hit Ultimate Challenge. It's going to be awesome. Wizard mode, it's going to be great. It's really not. You get to Ultimate Challenge, and it's sort of like there's nothing there. It's the big downfall, I think, on Judge Dredd for me. Is really what happens is the crime scenes are all lit for 10 million. And you just try and score a bunch of points until you lose a ball, and then it's over. When there's less than 2 balls in play, and you don't ever get that shot on Judge Dredd where you think, I won, or I beat that, or down with all of them. Yeah, we'll talk about the judges in a second, but it just doesn't have that really great, fulfilling moment where you feel like you've accomplished the big deed and you've won. So the other way you can get there to this sort of anticlimactic, poorly named Ultimate Challenge is through the multi-ball modes. So when you knock down the Judge Dredd targets, you light the lock, which is the left ramp. So you hit the left ramp 3 times, and you start the multi-ball. When you do that, now you have to light the jackpot by hitting the left ramp again, and then you hit the subway shot behind the drop targets, and that will get you the jackpot. And they go up in value, and you're either getting one of the bad judges, and it goes in orders of Judge Mortis, Judge Fire, Judge Fear, and then Judge Death. And you got to get them all in a row in one shot, and then you go to the Ultimate Challenge. Now, I have a hard time doing this. I've actually never gotten there this way, because I always seem to get 3 of them, and then I can't get Judge Death. I wish they had sort of done it so you could build your way through it, because it's a task, a little bit of a task, I think, getting the Ultimate Challenge this way. The animations through these jackpots are really good. I think that it's fun. I wish when you got there was this Ultimate Challenge where you had to hit some combo of shots or something to just like finish it, kill it, get it. But anyway, that's kind of the game in a nutshell. Briefly, I want to let you know that, like I said, this is sort of 2 games in one. And when you go into the super game, you get a 2-ball multi-ball to start that. And normally in a location, you'd be paying double. And then there's these 4 different super games that all start out with 2-ball multi-ball, and will eventually go back to normal play once you get down to 1 ball. But if you can hit the Judge Dredd targets within the first, I believe, 15 or 20 seconds of your 2-ball multi-ball, you start the 6-ball multi-ball. And then there's these 4 games, and they give you sort of like a story of what's going on. There's a mad bomber, there's a traffic jam that you're trying to shoot the subway for. It's pretty cool, and there's some other objectives, and I'll let you dig deep into that. I don't play it as often, just because some weird part of me feels like the constant 6-ball multi-balls is like rough on the game or something, so I end up not playing it. And I'm always trying to work my way through the chain modes and through the dark judges modes to get to the Ultimate Challenge on the standard ball. So I'm always doing that. But not a family theme. We talk about some themes are good for the family. This isn't one. There's some pretty rough stuff in there, especially in modes like sniper mode, where you're actually seeing people get shot and the sniper himself meets his demise. There's some interesting little kind of I don't know, hidden gems to this game. There are some call-outs towards John Trudeau's previous game, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Those are sort of spoilers on some level, so I'll let you find those out if you like. You can easily Google and find those. There's some great little comedy bits in this with the judge getting squirted with water and that sort of thing. So they did a fantastic job of taking this tongue-in-cheek, sort of dark comic theme, and then making it into a pinball machine. They integrated the playfield well. They crammed a lot into this game. There's moving parts, there's captive balls, there's great ramps, there's drop targets. It's really cool. I just, I don't know how far people are going to take this whole P-Rock controller thing, but as that becomes a more of a science to where people can really learn how to write rules and stuff, Judge Dredd, I think, is one of those games that certainly doesn't need a P-Rock treatment, but somebody could really do some amazing things with this game, just from the sheer amount of stuff that's going on this game. And maybe I shouldn't even think like that. Maybe that's just me living in a modern world, looking at these games with all these great toys and layouts and ramps and shots, and thinking, man, if they built this today, imagine what they could do with the code. Maybe I should not be such a like a wisher of code that wasn't possible 20 years ago. But it is what it is. Judge Dredd's a great game. It's undervalued. It ranks number 49 on the Pinside Top 100 right now. Like I said, I bought this game around the $2,000 mark. You can buy them for that price for sure. If you get a really clean, super tricked out one with the topper without fading, the sides fade pretty easy. Mine's faded pretty good, I guess, on the sides. The artwork's in good shape. It's just faded. But if you get a non-faded with the topper in good shape with the Dead World mod, I mean, I've seen them sell in the not too distant future for upwards of almost $3,000. Like $2,800. So it varies a little bit. But it's a lot of game, it's a lot of shots, it's a fast game, it's a good game to work your skills up on, and I would absolutely recommend spending some time on Judge Dredd if you have the chance. Well, there you go, Cameron. I hope you're happy. And all these other things I was going to do on episode 57, and we spend it on Judge Dredd. No, I appreciate the email. In all honesty, I had been meaning to do that. So I hope you enjoyed it. I wish me luck. I'm going to need it this weekend at the tournament at In Disc, as they call it. It never drains in Southern California. The weather's beautiful down here. If anybody hears this and is on the fence about maybe making the drive from Phoenix or Vegas or one of those places, it's beautiful right now. Great time of year to have a pinball tournament. If you're listening and you're going to be there, find me, shoot me an email, let me know you're going to be there. I look forward to meeting some people. Maybe going to take the mobile recording setup and do some stuff up there, but definitely be doing a recap. Not sure if I'll have a show before then. If I don't, we'll see you soon. If I do, see you then. You can always email me at coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. That's coast, the number 2, coast, pinball@gmail.com. Our website's www.coast2coastpinball. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and until next time, I am the law.
He knows what he's doing.
Hey, look, it's Sylvester Stallone.
I am the law.
Oh, really? I actually already said that.
Drop your weapon.
Well, this is just a microphone.
Are under arrest.
I'm for doing a podcast? Why would you do this? Settle down, bro.
I can't believe this has happened.
You can't?
I can't.
Well, you started it.
And I just want to say thanks to Apollo.
Who's Apollo?
Thank Mickey for training me.
Mouse?